Good morning. At least it's morning here. It's several days now, and I'm still feeling empty. It's interesting. Even when the mind has something to say, there's still this emptiness in back of it somehow. Hard to explain. Very strange. So, I'm going to read a journal. Don't know quite what else to do as yet. This is still a kind of a new space for me, so I'm exploring. This one is fairly recent. It's from March 22nd, and that Mayan day was a very special one. It was one Ahau, one Lord, light or sun. It's called Threading the Eye of the Needle, Entering Wonderland. Vision is action. One of the things that's special about that Mayan day is the Mayan calendar, the Tzolk'in calendar, uses two wheels whose gears mesh as they go round and round. And a year is completed in a 360-day cycle where it comes back to the beginning. And one of the wheels is smaller. It only has 13 teeth, 13 numbers, 1 through 13. And the other one is larger. It has 20 sun signs. And so what we found on 322 was that we had the very first of the numbers and the very last of the sun signs. And there's a wholeness or a completeness, as well as the thrust and the power of the one. Kismet, no. Don't know what he barks at. Most of the time it's not the deer or the armadillo. I've learned to recognize that bark. That's very excited, mommy let me at it bark. Kismet. No. Okay, so here we go. Threading the eye of the needle. And as usual, I don't remember a thing about what's in it. Now, I guess I have to learn how to use my controls again here. All right. How many of us? No, wait, that doesn't matter. Rather, do you do something else while you're eating? Like watch TV, read a book, or the paper, work puzzles, or the like. Maybe you surf the internet or watch a video while having dinner. You may think it's relaxing. Well, let's look at that. First off, I know I do this, so be aware. I know I'm talking to me as usual. Sometimes I take my meal out to the lawn chair and have it there with the birds and the sun and the breeze and the bugs and things. More often, though, I'm putting something into my mouth as an automatic motion while sitting in front of the computer. There, I admit it. I'm not even present with that. My attention is elsewhere. This is just another one of the ways in which we've become a bit of an automaton. We're on autopilot. It's worth observing just to see what's there to be seen. What we're doing here with all of this observing stuff is coming back to our center. We're coming into presence, into present self-awareness from wherever we've gotten off to. Now, remember too that observing doesn't require that anything change. Trying to change from the outside like that externally at the command of the mind will just set you back. Besides, it's no fun anyway. This other way, the heart way, is so much more enjoyable, and you learn some neat things. We're coming back home in consciousness, centering down. Now, don't take from what's being said here any more than I'm saying. I'm not saying, for instance, that you can only and always do just one thing at a time. Let's not generalize. That would be mind at work. It's always mind that generalizes. We can begin to notice that and let it be a signal to get back more fully into heart. You're there anyway, all the time. It's just a matter of gathering the outer consciousness back in. You're already present 100% of the time, there in your heart, here in the now. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't seem to help much to know that. If we're lost in mind, we can spend lifetimes lost like that. I know I've done it. Even though we are also present in heart the whole time. It's a bit of a mystery, but not so much when we get back into heart. Heart understands such things where mind hasn't a chance to. As a for instance of when it's often appropriate to be elsewhere than body-centered. Take when you're driving the interstate or a highway on a long stretch. The body can drive. No need to supervise that so very closely. Once you've trained yourself to be a good driver, those motions become habit. The body knows them better than the conscious mind does. It's like concentrating to take one step. Being aware of contracting and loosening each muscle, watching the careful placement of the foot, that's counterproductive. Simply not needed. Moving on. So, we've become automated in useful ways and in ways that are not at all useful. Time to start watching, to come to center, and simply observe. Please remember, too, that when I say observe, I mean only that. This is not a time to be changing things. If you do, then that would just be mind at work. And we're in the process of mind transcendence. You'll see that unfolding if you can keep your little mitts off and just watch. As we're moving our locus, our center of awareness, out of the mind, we'll see all kinds of things, some that will shock us, like the ways we've become a bit of a robot, such as when eating. Don't try to change this, remember. Just watch it happening. Simply look at that. As you do this from heart, you'll be tutored and taught from within. You have an inner teacher, a guru in there. Everyone does. Who is it? Well, that's a subject for another journal, so let's just say it's you, capital Y, higher self. It doesn't matter, though. Just call it heart. You see, it's always mind that comes up with these questions, and the answers don't really matter more than a hill of beans. They're unimportant to the focus of the moment. They're distractions. That's all. But you already have to be separated out from the mind a bit to be able to comfortably see this. Otherwise, you may see it, but you may also get terribly tense. Check your solar plexus out. Dead giveaway. No big deal now. That's not right or wrong. There is no right or wrong, good or bad here. All of this is strictly neutral. We're just observing, remember, not making any judgments. just seeing what we see. You see, things will begin to take care of themselves if you let them. That's the big secret here. Can you see it? If you can, that's a good sign, for it's heart that sees such things, not the mind. To mind, it makes not one lick of sense. Things doing themselves, mind will say, yeah, right. Well, you can observe that too, and just turn away from it. Ignore the mind's pronouncements. And for support with this, remember the open letter to mind journal and the mantra for mind. That can really help. Links in the transcript. Okay. Are you feeling more heart-centered yet? Are those chimes helping you out? That's the radiation protection recording. Centered is the best place to listen to these journals. That's how they can have the most effect for you. And actually, I would say they probably have the effect. That's just the place where you can become aware of it. Oh, all right. So I'll just keep reading and quit ad-libbing. Oh, they can have an effect regardless. For in watching or listening or reading them on scribed, you're getting the flow of the energy. And that's the real message. The words are just secondary, and so is anything and everything that floats through your mind. Okay, lost a few of you there. Please know that's okay. The mind doesn't need to understand these things. Heart does, and that's enough. In your observing, it's good to watch yourself watching the mind. Yeah, I'll say it again. Watch yourself watching the mind. Let it sink in. You're getting some good distance here from the self on the surface, the one that just does things. The one that observes is now separating out. I remember when all of this sort of thing was new to me. I recall how much it helped when I realized that deep within there was a place where I, whoever that is, already knew all of this. I connected with that. I felt now and then how what was being said was already known in some way, even though not by the conscious mind. It was a bit trippy for a while. But then, as I settled down into it, I began to realize that there really is a knower, capital K, deep within. Thus, whatever I or anyone else says to you, you already know that. Center for this. Hear it again. You already know. You already know. No, it's not the conscious part of the mind, or even mind at all, probably. That's the repository of this inner knowing. It just is. Best not to question it at first. Just go by the feel. You'll come to a sensing of it at some point. It will be rather like déjà vu. Your inner knowing, if you're relaxed enough, can come right through. You can then be in the lovely space of both hearing something coming to you from the outside, while having the knowing arise from within. The inner knowing is deeper and fuller as well. Now, this doesn't explain well. You'll just know. You'll have the experience of it. Stay with heart. Bottom line to this little sharing is that once I came to really realize that in some unknown way I did seem to know things inside, well, life just got easier for me. I could relax. I realized I have an inner knower, one who is so very good at listening. We're getting down to the space and the place, and don't get lost in the words, of intuition, the inner knowing. It's really neat. Don't try to take mind in here. Mind just won't fit. It'll distract you and take you out every time. Now, that doesn't mean that I am always aware of this inner knower who knows. Or, oh, I'm going to take that back. I am aware of that. It's not what I wrote. That doesn't mean that I am always aware of what the inner knower knows. Don't get me wrong. It's more of a sensing than a knowing most times. It's just so comforting knowing it's there. It changes things. It shifts them around inside. Once you realize there's no need to worry or fear about what you don't know or what you think you know or just any of it. Once you realize you have this omniscient inner knower on duty within all the time, well, somehow you can just relax. Being totally in the know, even if it isn't always consciously accessible, well, it's still a great thing. You don't have to worry about trusting someone else anymore. You don't have to. You've got yourself. That's capital S self, of course, there within. So, not only do we have an inner teacher or guru always on duty, now we realize we also have this inner knower, or inner knowing is better. It's not a person or an object, it's just knowing, capital K. Parenthetically, read the transcripts while you listen for such details if you like. I don't always mention them. It gets a bit awkward. Capital this, lowercase that. Now, how all of this is considered threading the eye of the needle? Glad you asked. Once upon a time, we were all gathered, all centered within. We couldn't imagine any other way of being, frankly. That was simply our reality, as this is now. We were heart beings for endless eons. We'd been like that. At some point, and for whatever reason, probably playfulness, we went out. We left our heart center for a romp in the land of disconnection. In 3D, where things seem all separate and distinct. They aren't, really. That's just a seeming. But we wanted to experience that, so we left heart on a journey. That was the journey from the heart to the head. We never really intended to leave off being centered in heart while we explored mind, but that's what happened. It crept up on us, little bit by little bit, I'm guessing, incrementally. Now, I may be wrong. It could have been dramatically all at once, or it could have been both, a combination thereof. Even if there was such an event, though, we've continued on incrementally, losing self more and more. Down through the ages, we've come to this place we occupy now. We're on the return journey now, back inside, back to heart. I can't reach it, sorry. Concentrate. We threaded our way out and away from our central core, but we've left a string trail to follow back to lead us home. By all this observing we're doing, we're beginning to get good at seeing the string trail and following it back into heart. At the farthest point out away from our center, we were completely identified with mind and body. Thought we were that. We just couldn't believe anything else could be so. There are many today still under that delusion. To them, it's a shock to come into the stories the NDEers, the near-death experiencers, tell of their experiences out and away from the actual dead body there. What a shock! For some, that's the first time they come face to face with the possibility they just may not be the body or the mind. And it's disconcerting when you're identified with that. Or they may have an astral travel experience, an OBE, out of the body. That'll do it too. See if it won't. Sometimes it takes a shock like this to even allow the self to consider such possibilities. Well, that's fine. Just realize how very far ahead of the game you are with these things. And let's all realize that at times our seemingly insoluble issues or problems just need a dose of backing off, disidentifying, stepping back. Time to release our death grip on being anything physical. That's often enough to clarify the vision, hook you up with inner self who is more than able to guide you in this or that or in anything. But we've got to let go a bit. It helps so much to realize we don't really know everything like we thought we did when we were teens. That's a good analogy for the adult still locked into mind. Mind thinks it knows so many things. Waking up is often just a matter of finding out all you didn't know, thought you did, finding out you were wrong. We've been misled so thoroughly, it's been meant to put us off track. There are those who never intended we find the string at all, find our way back. Well, too bad, so sad for them, isn't it? We're all literally waking up in our own ways. You can see it all around. People are changing. Sometimes they don't even realize that, but it's happening. Our vision is the clearer the more distance we've got on this thing. Oh, what joy is to be had in all of this. I hope you find it there within. Oh, and P.S. Of course, the eye of the needle is heart, and the string trail is the thread, and what you find once you've threaded it, well, that's for you to discover. That's Wonderland, but I call it the Kingdom of Heart. You decide, though. None compels.